So welcome everybody, and Cheval, thank you for coming. I love your story so much, and I love your heart even more because you've got such a huge heart, and I am so excited about your foundation, and there's so many things that I want to hear about, and I know we have limited time, so I want to have you jump right in and share, because this is all about confidence, and I'd love to learn more about your journey of confidence and what you have learned. So I'm going to leave it wide open to have you start with whatever you'd like to share as far as what you've learned related to your own confidence journey.
Of course. Well, it's a pleasure to chat with you. Thank you so much for having this time set aside. And it was so wonderful to meet you in Sacramento. And I love that we're just, making this happen.
Yes, me too.
Yeah. And I guess open-ended, when I think about, confidence, I think it all comes down to having a really strong sense of self. And I think it is a big journey for so many people. It's never constant. It's definitely like a heartbeat. But I think I am similar to a lot of people in that I tie a lot of my confidence to my capabilities. What am I capable of? And that kind of encompasses, your skill set, the way you engage with people, the way you make people feel in a room as well, and just what you feel you have to offer. What is your gift? And I grew up wanting to be a wedding dress designer my whole life, and I had the pleasure of having a beautiful chapter in doing that. And my story has become a little bit of a cautionary tale for a lot of reasons. But I have entered a whole new phase that I'm grateful for, and happy to talk about that as well. So yeah.
Well, you know what? What really struck me when I heard you speak and we were at CMTA together was how your grandmother had taught you how to sew. That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm so lucky. I was exposed to a lot of different creative elements growing up, and I had such a beautiful experience with my family. And my dad's very artistic. My mom was an interior designer at one point. And I think they just really encouraged me to make things and make a mess. A lot of glitter everywhere. And that is still to this day how I live my life. But yeah, my grandmother taught me to sew. And that was a big step in design.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that the glitter continues to flow, and that you have pivoted into this incredible, your shoes are incredible designs. They're so gorgeous. Do you want to show us? Do you have one handy?
Of course, I always like a good show and tell. We have a lot of sparkle, of course. And then I also wanted to kind of throw in a little bit of a Southwestern element. I just love a good boot. This is actually made with vinyl, and you get a little bit of sparkle. There's sparkle in the heel. They're not too high, so
okay, yeah.
What's
the little buckle? Can you show us the gold buckle in the back?
Yeah, so actually this is a locket. So you can put in there a love note to yourself. I've always really loved sentimental details, and obviously a huge Taylor Swift fan, but I love Easter eggs and just making their that sense of storytelling throughout design. So I had a blast with shoes, and who knew? So
you never know what life's going to throw you, and you have such an amazing attitude, and it's incredible what you've done to pivot. So tell us, for those that don't know the story, tell us about, you use the term cautionary tale, and I know you did that when we were in person as well. Tell us what happened, if you're open to sharing.
Oh, of course. I'm always open to share. I signed an employment agreement when I was 25 years old without a lawyer. And at the time, I think I relate to a lot of young creatives in just really wanting that opportunity. And for me, it was my dream job. And I was really hyper-focused on what I could do to help, and like how I could show up. And so much so that I feel, I really didn't know a whole lot about, contract law and what certain things mean. And, while I do consider myself very well skilled and trained in design, and I went to a great school, I just didn't know a whole lot about negotiating and what it meant to really protect my rights. So I did sign the contract and, went on to design beautiful gowns. And my contract, it was a long-term contract, was coming to an end, and I attempted to renegotiate, as I felt there were circumstances that didn't really exist at the time of signing that I felt needed to be, factored in more clearly. And that was really where a lot of a tumultuous energy was created for me. And my former employer actually ended up suing me in federal court over the usage of my name, among other things, my social media accounts, or what I consider to be my personal social media accounts at the time. And, like a bad sweater, it unraveled very quickly. But, in all of my experience, I really want to take what I've learned and share my story in a way that really is productive, because it can be jarring for a lot of people, hearing that I can't, use my birth name in any business or commerce or even to publicly identify at this point. I'm still involved in the active litigation. So, I want to be very respectful of the situation that I'm in, and of course the district court's rulings. And, I'm just trying to move forward with my life as much as I can, but also how can I serve others with my story and hope that, this kind of situation doesn't happen again to this degree.
Well, and you're doing that, first of all, with such grace, and you shine so brightly. Honestly, I'm just amazed when I first heard your story about how you've pivoted and done it with just such incredible, I keep thinking grace is the best word that I can use. And and I love how you've turned things around and now moved into a whole other area related to shoes and gorgeous designs. And what would you say is the thing, if you could pick one thing, what helps you? Like, how do you stay so positive?
I think it kind of comes down to she. For me, it's this support system. And part of the reason that I wanted the brand to be called She Is Cheval is because it feels like something that anyone can step into and anyone can feel supported by. Because in my journey, I think what has really allowed me to pivot and allowed me to believe in myself is to have this community and the support system of people that truly wanted to see me come out of this and succeed, with such sincerity and real appreciation for what we had all gone through, and so much of my journey has been with people in person and on social media. And because of those relationships and that interaction, it gave me this grip. I was a gymnast growing up, so like I really think about things in terms of like holding on. And I think she helped me hold on, and that's something I carry with me in this new brand. And it's also like an energy that I do want to harbor and hold on for others, because it's a sisterhood in a lot of ways. Even though our journeys can all look very different and you never know really what somebody is going through, being that person that does show up for them and cares and, can lay some kind of a path, or like, hey, here's a secret, let me help you with this. I love that idea. So I think that's where a lot of the real, like, responsible positivity comes from.
Oh, I love it. Well, and I'm all about supporting and elevating women. And when we come together, we are just such a powerful sisterhood. I love it. Well, tell us about your foundation, because that is such an immediate thing of how you're helping people, not just in your gorgeous designs.
Yes. Well, thank you. The nonprofit, A Girl You Might Know Foundation, is geared to provide resources and support to young creatives. And it really just, it came from my experience. It came from a really unusual set of circumstances, but I think a lot of people can relate in ways of employment law and wanting to get into the right kind of partnership. And, we're all just people, and ultimately to make the best decisions we can. And sometimes we're limited in what we know, and it's great to bring in experts. So a big part of the foundation is providing resources and referrals to affordable or pro bono attorneys, opening up the conversation about what kind of things you should really be aware of in contract law. And in today's world, there's so much that goes into just like an influencer contract, you know, and if you're doing a deal or something like that. And I think it's important to really understand not only like what does the language say within the four corners of a contract, but how could it actually be interpreted or potentially even weaponized so that it can prevent working or prevent you from moving forward or preventing you from using your name or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
You know, it can be scary stuff. Like nothing makes you adult like a lawsuit.
Isn't that the truth? I remember one of my photographer friends said when she launched her career and she said, my contract used to be a half a page. And now it's about 14 pages because of all the scenarios and things that she's had to pay attention to and look out for. You just never know. You have to protect yourself. So that's powerful advice. Well, what are you most looking forward to in life right now?
I definitely am looking forward to creating a safe space. And I feel that that's a very general term. And a lot of times it can feel woo-woo to say that. But, you know, a lot of my journey did come with some vulnerabilities. And it really came with sharing things that I never, ever imagined I would share. But I think the bigger picture is that I do want to help women and I want to help young creatives and make them feel like they can really shine. I'm such a competitor at heart, our gymnastics days, but I think part of being a good competitor is that you want the best people on the field, prepared and excited. And there's a form of friendship that comes with that, like that team versus team or person versus person. And, you know, I think we should do everything we can to support creatives and encourage an environment where you really can flourish. And yes, sometimes we fall and make mistakes, but it's all, you know, let's put it on the field and let's get out there and have a good time and support one another. And I just happen to be able to do that in a way that I get to be creative and sparkly, and hopefully that journey continues to in other product categories.
Yes. Well, tell us, what advice would you offer someone who's a new creative, for example, just in general? I'm thinking particularly related to confidence and obviously given our topic around protecting your name and your business.
It can be so hard if you are achievement oriented to not be tied to outcomes. And one of the best lessons I kind of learned is why you don't want to be dependent on a certain outcome to be able to move forward. I find myself saying like, oh, when this is done or when this happens, I'll do this. Then, you know, if you can just put in the baby steps every day towards, you know, your goal or whatever your passion is, that really will add up. And detaching from this idea that you have to achieve something first to get to something else, I sometimes hinder you from just simply showing up every day and putting in some of that effort. I think one of the best things about most entrepreneurs out there is that they're just not lazy. You know, they put that work in. It's a simple way of saying it, but you know, I think that's probably a piece of advice I would give is just to not be so achievement oriented, because the minute you get that thing you were looking for, you're just going to be on to the next thing, which is give it all, but you also just don't want to be dependent on that. You want to kind of manifest your own destiny in a way that it's every day that makes it kind of special.
Yeah, that's a very good advice. I'm chuckling because I'm relating, and I'm remembering one 6-month period of my life where I was training to hike at the Grand Canyon. And I remember, you know, it was one of those, you go under the valley, blah, 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 all the things. And when I got up to the top, within 5 minutes, I was at my hotel room, and I remember sitting on the toilet going, okay, what's next? And I thought, can you just relax and celebrate what happened here?
Absolutely. It's so hard to be mindful and like really in that moment, because if it's something you've been like really just looking forward to for so long and then it happens, it's kind of like, oh, now what do I do?
Yes, exactly. Well, what would you say, I'm curious, you are the most proud of in your life?
Oh my gosh. Honestly, my relationships.
Mm.
I'm most proud of my relationship with my fiance.
Oh,
I think
you two are so adorable together too.
Such a romantic, but I just really feel so special to have somebody in my life that's been through everything with me. Unusual circumstances, but I'm really proud of how we are together, and I think that goes further into relationships just with humans and people that I get to work with every day, my co-founders, my family, my mentors, all of those things I just want to hold tight to and treasure.
Well, I love the fact that your mom was at the event where we both spoke. I didn't know that until after, and I went, "Oh my gosh, that's so fun!" So you've got a great support network. Well,
like tries to hide,
What's that?
She always tries to hide, my events and things like that. So yeah.
What do you think? Now I'm kind of curious about this. What do you think your parents would say about you and how they're proud of you?
Oh my gosh. I have no idea. My mom's sassy, so I'm sure she'd come up with something really witty and like, jury's still out kind of thing. But I think ultimately, my parents, I think they know how much I know they love me.
Yeah.
And that's really a big drive and inspiration in my life. They're both very hardworking people, and they've instilled, a lot of those mindsets and just working hard every day in my sister and I. And so hopefully they are proud. A lot of it is perplexing because they're like, "Did we give you that name?" Like,
oh gosh, you've all been through it together, right?
Yeah.
This challenge
In the trenches.
Well, what's that?
I said in the trenches.
Yes. Well, that proves that you have this amazing. You talk about relationships. You've got this incredible support system all across the board. Well, you are such a sparkling light that I see online, and I'm so glad that we got to meet in person as well. And before we wrap up, I would love to have you share what you need right now. How can anybody listening, whether it's live or in the replay, support you? What would you like from people?
Oh my gosh. I feel like one of the best things is just knowing how else I can serve, and what else people might want to see. Because I'm kind of unable to do what I've kind of planned my whole life to do, and I had to venture into new categories. I'm really grateful for the patience because I'm learning a whole new trade with shoe making, and I'm doing hats as well. And so I think I know what other people want to see from me and from the brand, so we can keep creating.
That's fantastic. And are you open to anything except for dresses?
Well, it's kind of created at this point. It's basically anything that's non-competitive with my player, and there's obviously a lot of nuance that goes into all that.
Yes.
So how much time? Fair
enough. So anybody listening, tell us here or wherever you want to reach Cheval. I know she's in lots of places, so please reach out. Tell her what other things you'd like to see, and of course, just continue to shine bright, Cheval. Is there anything else that you'd like to add to the listeners or for the listeners?
Karen, I was so inspired by, my mom and I both were, by your speech, and some of the takeaways and little pieces of advice you gave for public speaking. And I was just curious, what are your best tips for someone doing a live like this or a Zoom that can help you exude, how do you say, show that confidence? Like, what's energy mechanisms for that?
Yeah, I love that you're turning this back on me, Cheval. That's awesome.
You're the expert.
Well, one of the first things I want to let's highlight what I love about you in general, and what I've seen here. You have this amazing eye contact, what's interesting is that, so two things. I can tell because I'm glancing down occasionally, but if I look down at you, you can see I'm not really looking at you. Do you see the difference there compared to this?
Yes.
Is there a difference?
Yeah.
Or isn't there much of a difference? Because now I'm looking at your eyes, and that's a better experience for me. But when we're speaking on a live or any virtual scenario, the ideal scenario would be to look at the webcam. So I'm looking now a little bit up and to the right. Does that look like I'm looking at you more?
Yes, it does.
Compared to that?
Yeah. I mean, I have such a tendency to look at myself.
I know. We all do. So I will say that's one good thing about lives. Typically when you're the one hosting, at least my experience is that I'm the one on top. So I'm looking at myself anyway, but I'm also trying to glance down to look at your reactions so that I'm at least somewhat in the loop of what's happening. Otherwise I'm just talking to myself and you happen to be there. But that's one thing, that eye contact is absolutely critical for connection. And then remembering to have a lightness to your facial expression, because too often what happens, especially for people like you and I are speaking a lot, I'd say that we're both more naturally inclined to do these things. And well, we've learned, I can't speak for you, but I certainly have learned how to have a lighter expression. Of course, the smile is the gatekeeper to likability. It's just how, you know, when we smile and we look happy, other people feel happy around us. It's pretty common sense there. But a lot of us don't think about that, because when we're focused on what we're going to say or we're nervous, we can get that, you know, the RBF, resting bee face, where we get this furrowed brow and we look really serious. So that's the other thing. And then a big thing, particularly for women, but it's men too, is to have that vocal variety so that we don't come across as monotone. And honestly, this is any gender. Nobody wants to listen to a monotone voice. So having the variety in your pace, your pitch, your volume, and then making sure, like in a live like this, it's kind of hard to really be able to see gestures, you know, without them being, you know, you don't want to gesture like that. Yeah. But kind of like how you're positioned so beautifully that we can see a little bit of your gestures. And yeah, you've got a nice clean background too. And that's another thing too, that you don't want to have anything terribly distracting in the back. You don't want other people to be staring like, what's going on back there? As opposed to actually listening to you. So those are some of the tips that I would offer for sure.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Well, anything else that you want to add?
I am just working on some events that we're doing in person. It's so wonderful to be able to have the shoes and have the try-ons and get the feedback firsthand. We have our little pop-up shop in New York City.
Awesome.
Actually just got extended all the way until September. So
oh my gosh, congratulations. Yeah, so in New York, let's just, and we'll wrap up with this. Where can people find you in these in-person places?
Yes, so first place would be New York City at the Seaport. We have this great pop-up shop, and we've extended all the way through September. So awesome. We are super excited for a summer of fun. And then I'm actually doing a few pop-ups in person over the next month, starting with next week, actually on Wednesday in Palm Beach. And then another event back in New York City, and then one at a pop-up shop in Delaware, actually.
How fun.
Yeah, so we're grooving,
you're all over. Well, good. Cheval, thank you so much for being here. I'm always just so happy to see you, and I continue to be amazed and just so in awe of how much you have just embraced this and helping all of these women, and not just helping, but really creating these incredible designs that people can wear and enjoy and show off in the world. So thanks again for being here.
Thank you, Karen, and thank you for the inspiration and all the tips.
You're welcome.
Your teachings are fabulous.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I love what I do. I love elevating women. So I want to get more women in leadership. So working on that. All right. Take care, Cheval. Have a great night. Bye.